Everybody, welcome back into the Lettermen Lounge. This is Lettermen Live. It is not a Monday. It's a true Appetizer Tuesday.
Yes.
For Lettermen Live, brought to you by Roosters. That's Jeremy Birmingham, Justin Zwick, and Bobby Carpenter. I'm Austin Ward. We've got some fried mushrooms going around, so whenever you see this, go straight to Roosters. You can get a $2 basket of fried mushrooms.
All day long.
All day. Dine in only.
Whenever you want. Dine in only. I know that Berm is he's got his own basket.
Yeah, I mean, they had his name on it. They wrote his name on it down there.
As soon as we're done here, I will.
He's going to put his face in it.
Just eat during the show. That's the way people have always done it. Jay-Z loves to get it.
Yeah.
Berm, are you more of a fan, like when you eat the mushrooms, because they've got like the thin, smaller shaft and then like the girthier tip at the top. Which do you like to eat first?
I'm not really a mushroom guy, Bob.
I don't Not what I've heard.
I don't like fungus.
I'm not even sure that was the question.
I don't like fungus.
Okay.
I'm anti-fungal.
And
Anti-fungal.
Berm also apparently stole the
here?
sign back in the Letterman Lounge, so it feels naked back here.
He needed it to go with the two he had at home.
Like, I got to know what you must be doing with the basement, taking all of our signs.
I want to be very clear. I haven't been here.
Your weekend plans didn't say anything about the basement.
I don't live in Columbus. The three of you do. If there's a likely culprit here, it's one of you.
Why would we have stolen?
Why would I?
I don't know.
Because you're up in Michigan, you're trying to brand yourself to Ohio as closely as you can.
When people come to your house, you want them to see Ohio State stuff. So they don't like you.
I have a very elaborate name, image, and likeness presentation that I give to people when they walk in my house.
Perfect.
How's that working?
Not great.
Not great.
Maybe you should just get open doors. Let's start as we do every week now with what's going on with Bob's Twitter feed.
Nothing crazy came from last week. I don't think we insulted the SEC nearly enough, or maybe Hoosier fans. I guess that was,
they're not watching. There's not enough of them yet.
Yeah, that's.
They are a very vocal group, though. If you find one of them, they are steadfast.
Well, because it's a little bit of Napoleon complex. Like, hey, we're good, and I'm going to acknowledge that. Now, historically, haven't been great. I mean, we got to go all the way back to Bill Mallory. The last time that they were relevant and won back-to-back Big Ten championships.
87, 88.
Yeah, beat Ohio State 2 years in a row. One for Bruce's last year, and then one to open the Cooper era. So that's it's a rough deal, but
it hasn't happened again since.
It has not happened again since. Although
it's come close.
It's come close. All streaks are made to be broken. The longer it goes, the worse the team feels when it happens. Ask Justin and I.
Oh yeah.
All right, so an easy week there. A great weekend. GZ, what
did get sunburned though, so that's a negative.
Sunburn.
Yeah,
it's good. Vitamin D is good for you. You gotta let it soak in a little bit.
Coach,
you feel the burn. It feels good when you go to get up in the morning and lift a little bit. Yeah,
I love like a workout burn. And I thought, I was like, okay, I'll be outside for a little bit, do some yard work yesterday, and then put the sunscreen on a little later at the pool. And I probably waited a little too long. And then I reapplied again, but it was like, dude, it was late. I was chasing. I was at a casino chasing, borrowing money from friends. And there was nothing. I'm always, being a fairly fair-skinned fellow, part of my medicine cabinet or like drawers, whatever it is, I've always carried like aloe in there, like 24
I need
365 days a year because you never know when a burn's going to come. Maybe a vacation, maybe just a random sunny day in like
after
March, maybe after Vegas. Who knows? So I always have that to just at night throw on just the coolness to be able to be able to sleep. And didn't have it. Somehow someone commandeered it from me. One of my kids probably stole it. It might have been Berm. He steals everything. So
you never know when a Berm's going to come.
Yeah, that is true.
You never know.
That is true. So, so I got that going, but did celebrate. I mean, it's Memorial Day weekend, guys. I mean, you celebrate America, you commemorate our troops. I mean, it's really a deadly duo that you've got going there. I mean,
it's not just a long weekend.
It's not just a long weekend. Remember that. I mean,
please.
That's it's as Bill Belichick told us, we'd come in, and Bill's like, obviously he went to his dad coached at the Naval Academy, and he's obviously a big historian. I think he's maybe an economics major, but he loves, America and American history. And he had all of our rookies stand up. And we're like, he would stand them up. It was Dante Hightower's rookie year. And he's like, what is Memorial Day? And does he try to sit down? Next. He just goes to the next guy. Tavon. He was from Indiana or Illinois. He was a safety. He was Tavon Wilson, our second-round draft pick. And he's like, well, it's to celebrate. You don't celebrate Memorial Day. Sit down. And then like someone else, and he's like, since the public school system has failed you all so miserably, Kevin, who was our player development director, he's like, 6 a.m. tomorrow. Let's go over Memorial Day. And while we're at it, And they go in the next day, go through it all, and like some of them are still struggling, using the term celebrate. No. What's the difference between Veterans Day and Memorial Day? Like struggling use. Okay, Kevin, 6 a.m. tomorrow. And while we're at it, let's throw in the other 12 national holidays that are recognized. We're going to do this till we get it right. Like, it was amazing.
Well, it's a good thing Ohio State has real life Wednesdays now, so
they
they're
do.
prepared if they get drafted by the Patriots.
Yeah, that's big time.
Berm, it's June 1st. It should be a pretty quiet month around here, right?
Thank God. No, I mean, it's already happening down the street. The recruits are already there. CJ Hicks, the class of 2022 five-star linebacker, is in town. Luke Montgomery.
Related to Jordan Hicks at all?
No.
Okay.
Luke Montgomery, a potential top 50 player in the class of 2023, offensive lineman, defensive lineman, is visiting the WAC right now. So it's going to be all month, man. Just speaking of open doors, that's going to be just a nonstop.
Dude's oozing in and out.
Dude's oozing.
These are official visits, right?
Incorrect.
No.
Some.
So some of them. CJ Hicks is there today on June 1st just to stop in and say hello.
Okay.
He's coming back for the weekend for his official visit along with 17 other guys for their official visits this weekend.
Do they have any
So they're
space for
loading
more?
Well, there's a lot.
Well,
Yeah.
the numbers are.
I'd like to get in. I only took 4. I don't know.
I only took one.
Bob's got one left. Actually, your eligibility is expired, but
I got a
So
sneaking
it's good, so I'm
suspicion.
not subjected to any rules.
And you won't be able to tell them where to go on campus anymore because it's all changed.
I have a sneaking suspicion if you wanted in, they would allow you to walk through the doors. But
and also camp is open tomorrow. Burma's really bearing the
thank
lead.
God.
So
yeah.
Oh.
So they opened it up. So now we are able to go to camps this
Ooh,
month,
nice.
which is great.
Lettermen
So,
Row flexing the muscles again.
so
Yeah,
we'll
look at you guys. Man,
we'll be
getting
there.
Stuff done.
We'll be able to be there tomorrow. There are 5 other camps the rest of the month. It's going to be very, very busy. The real important thing for a lot of these kids is that Ohio State has over 50 official visits scheduled for June, which a normal year they're scheduling like 42 or 43 total, and they're doing 50 in June. That's what's expected, but there's already been guys that have told me that their visit has been canceled, and most of the time that's going to happen from Ohio State side because they really don't want to blow the proverbial
Load?
wattage.
Oh no! He was scared to say it.
They don't want to run out of.
Teeing it up for Bob.
They only get 62 for the year, so they
Yeah.
to
June
use
to be
all of them. In
Also,
June.
there is a max of how many you
Yeah.
can bring. I never knew that.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
62.
So they
What kind
have.
of number is that, by the
I
way?
don't
Yeah.
know how you determine
Well,
that.
Where's that
it's
come from?
normally 56, and if you don't use the full 56, then you can carry over.
Like the salary cap, you got some carryover
So
from
you
next
can
year.
carry over a
That's how
maximum.
Alabama signs everybody.
You can carry over a maximum of 6 from year to year. So it's 62 is the max, but they have already started to.
So since they didn't take anybody last year, everyone will have the max.
Everyone across the
Right.
country has the max.
So they've started to cancel already some of the trips that were in the back half of the month at positions that they know that they don't necessarily need to bring in a bunch of dudes. So it's going to be interesting. This weekend will be very telling, especially with the defensive backs, because you have Toriano Pride, kind of the top of the line guy left at cornerback, making his official
Where's he
visit.
from?
St. Louis. And then
Let's ask his tattooist.
and then you have both Xavier Wampa and Zion Branch making official visits.
Ooh, my guy from
Your guy from Bishop Gorman.
Bishop
out in
Gorman.
Vegas. So those are the 2 of the top 3 safeties in the country. Those 2 are both visiting this weekend. If the Buckeyes were able to make magic happen and convince Toriano Pride, Xavier Wampa, and Zion Branch that they're all Buckeyes, then they wouldn't recruit another defensive back this cycle.
And then
That's
open up
great.
some more official visits.
Right. So they're kind of hoping that you can go out and hit a couple home runs and be able to take those visits that were scheduled for the last couple weeks of June and move them to the season, because there's a lot of late developers that are still coming down.
So some growers as opposed to showers.
Correct.
Yes.
I like that. That's
You want to put on the tape for that.
well, it's key. I mean, this is big. I mean, there's a lot of guys oozing in and out of the Woody
Oozing
Hayes
in
right
and
now,
out.
and so we're gonna make sure that we're over there, and Berm doesn't have to scour the parking lot like a lot lizard anymore. He can go in,
Yeah, he can go in and actually
see
stuff.
the guys.
Who's the most important one in June that you think?
Yes.
I mean, they have to get an offensive line plan figured out for the month. I mean, in the class of 2022, that's the biggest thing. So Zach Rice, who's the country's #1 ranked offensive tackle, is visiting this weekend, and he's one of the.
Where's he from?
He's from Virginia, Lynchburg, Virginia. He's one of the 3 official visitors who are not. I'm sorry. There's 5 kids who are not committed to Ohio State that are visiting this weekend, and he's one of them. So you have Quinn Ewers coming into town. You've got
The mullet. Oh, that's big. How big do you
Blonde
think it
mullet.
is to have Quinn Ewers here with
the
some of these
offensive line.
other uncommitted guys?
I mean, the best players want to play with the best players, and that's certainly
1.0 ranking,
right. And
highest of all time.
Quinn is a very different type of guy. He's not really able to or interested in buddying up via text message and stuff like that. So
DM slide?
Right. He's not that guy. So it's very important for these
Maybe
people
not with you.
Definitely not with me. Could be with other people. I don't know. It's an opportunity for these kids to get to know him. And the fact is, when you're the number one player in the country, your brand, we're talking about name, image, and likeness. Like, it sells itself. Everyone knows who Quinn Ewers is.
The chops and a mullet. That's the brand.
Everyone knows who Quinn Ewers is. And so it's an opportunity for guys like that, for Zach Rice, for Zion Branch, for Xavier Wampa, the uncommitted guys that are coming in this weekend, to really click with the 11 of the 12 commitments that'll be here this weekend.
That's got to be big, yeah.
I wasn't aware that there was any sort of controversy about the way Ohio State scheduled this, but we got to talk to Mark Pantoni on Friday about the way they were doing it. And he was asked, well, should you spread these out? Should you keep more for the season? Why are you bringing everybody, as many people as you can in on this first weekend? And Mark Pantoni said he viewed it as a reward because this dead period has been going on so long. This is the first opportunity for these guys. Let them come get that official visit experience and get some nice food and hang out and have all your expenses paid for and let the red carpet roll out. But it's interesting to me.
Sounds pretty sweet.
You two went through this process. Can you
go through it again?
It'd be weird to go through it in the summer, though, don't you think?
The summer, that's what I was going to say. 51 is that number. It could change, could more or less. We'll see. But it just seemed like there used to be so much emphasis on you got to take it so you can go see a game and get that campus experience, and that doesn't really seem to be as prevalent.
The thing that stinks about campus is during the game or during the going to the game, and we're from here, so we've been to the game. I'd been to Ohio State games beforehand, so you knew what the experience was going to be like. Heck, I was there in '98 when they beat Michigan, running down on the field and people digging up the turf before they dug down the stadium. I fully appreciated how passionate all these people were. The thing that we took our visit, and it was after the semester was already done, or quarter. So there was really nobody here anyway, and it was cold. At least now it's warm.
Sure.
So for Southern guys, it's big. I was a huge advocate of trying to get guys in here right around after spring ball. So there's still students on campus, and I don't know when you can start the official visits, but get them here while there's actually people here. And the weather might actually be pretty nice getting these guys from the south because in your mind,
San Antonio Holmes getting off the plane, what the?
Well, it's a good thing they didn't come this weekend when it was 55.
At the end of May.
That's why in 2020, when the spring and summer official visits were permitted for the first time, everyone was scheduled for the spring. I mean, JT Tuimoloau was supposed to be here last spring for the spring game of 2020. So, their goal is to get guys here at that time. The summer, traditionally, and I guess I say traditionally, knowing it's only happened now the last 3 years, is when they want the commitments and their families to get together, because that's when they're really trying to do the relationship building.
It's called peer pressure, bro.
Right.
We're gonna get. That's why you said the 12 guys. Hey, if we have 3 or 4 of the guys that we need to get, let's get 12 dudes that are really good.
Yeah, put them with those guys.
Put them with these guys. Tell them how much you love it here and how great it is, and then you get that communal feeling where it's, all right, I kind of like these guys, and they're putting the heat on you to get to be a part of this, and that's a big deal. And you get to see the quality of the guys that you're around. And I mean, they do a pretty good job, Berman. You've done this for a long time here. Ryan, I mean, Urban started to do it, a lot more at the end. He was pretty good the majority of his time here, but recruiting high quality individuals. Man, I go over there. There's not really any guys I'd call scumbags on the team, and there are dudes that Jay-Z and I played with that I would not leave in my living room without me there.
10 years ago, that was a problem.
Yeah.
It's just really not anymore. I mean, I talk about it all the time to the point where I think some of our readers or watchers think I'm a broken record, but it really is a great group of people. And so the summer visits, and this weekend you're going to have, aside from the number 1 ranked offensive tackle in Zach Rice, you have the number 2 and 3 ranked safeties in Wampa and Zion Branch, and then you have a 5-star defensive end in Omari Abor from Duncanville, Texas. So this is a bond weekend. This is they want all of the commits, all their families,
the guys to kind of ooze on each other there and kind of create one big group.
Right. They want.
It seems to be the Roosters' word of the day for Bobby this week is oozing. So
you know what else is oozing? Those fried mushrooms.
If you come in and say ooze here on Appetizer,
the mozzarella
Tuesday,
stick was oozing when I bit into it.
$2 fried mushrooms for anyone who says oozing today. These camps, Jay-Z, Bob, how much camp life was there for you guys in the summer compared to what it is now?
I didn't do mini camps coming through.
5-star coach.
Yeah, I mean, we
show up and walk around.
Yeah, we did a team camp. We went down to West Virginia as a team. Yeah. I went through different things down there, and then ended with a big 7-on-7 tournament. And we would go down to Kentucky as a team.
Were you already committed at that point?
Oh yeah.
Did what's his name, Rich?
Rich Rod?
Did he try to talk to you at all?
No, he didn't try.
Oh, really? That's disappointing.
Yeah. He wasn't that style of quarterback.
No, yeah, I wasn't a guy that you would want to necessarily be on his team, but those were the camps we did. I think I came down to Ohio State one day for a day camp, and I joined Brookhaven, and I was their quarterback, and it was awesome because they were freakishly athletic, and so we had some fun then. But I didn't do any other camps. I didn't, other than the Elite 11, which was a special thing, and that was kind of back before
that
really blew up. Yeah, so it was one of the first classes, but. I didn't do anything else. We just kind of played ball. And
I had to grind out, man. I'm going to Miami, Ohio's senior day, senior
grind out. Listen to this guy.
And go to these
grind out, yeah.
This is I came here my freshman year. They didn't have. This is how they used to do the 7-on-7s. They would literally just line you up in like linebacker. They'd count guys off like, all right, and then you go to the next line. So I was one of the end of the linebackers, and we had more linebackers than defensive backs. And I had played safety the year before. We only had one safety. We had 2 safeties in one corner, I think. And they looked there like, dude, we need to know. Like, I'm like, all right, I can do that. And I actually ended up working out well because I see Coach Puckett like, what the heck are you doing out here? I'm like, dude, we don't have. He look at the rest of the guys. Like, okay, fair enough. Like, go out there. So I can cover 95% of these guys. Now the elite dudes that were coming here, not a chance. But I was a lot thinner then too. But you'll be able to run around. And it's amazing. One of the linebackers on my team, played with Jay-Z, and all he did was tell me how great he was the whole time. He's like, dude, he's got this Mustang. It's so sweet. He's a 5-star dude. I'm dead serious. I've never told you
I don't even think 5 stars were out.
He goes, dude, look at him. He's like, you see him over there, like, Tress is over there, like, hugging on him. And they're all like, yeah, man, they don't even know who I am over here. Like, I'm just trying my best.
Tress was hugging on him because of the relationship with the family.
Yeah.
With Jared.
Family, yeah. My brother at Youngstown, like, dude, he was hugging us saying,
he's got a vanity plate and everything.
I think Rich Rod actually paid for that Mustang, if I'm not mistaken.
It may have been.
Pretty sure the old 1996 GT. Get out of here.
Jared had a vanity.
I mean, we were.
Jared had that.
The other irony is, then one of my suite mates were staying in Morrill Tower. One of my suite mates is Doug.
Oh,
and so who later becomes my freshman roommate at Ohio State, and like that was just complete randomness. Like I don't think that there was anything going on there because neither one of us were like on any type of radar then at that point. That was like my sophomore year. Then my junior year, they started pulling guys out and doing a little different 7-on-7 stuff. It was like they just grab guys off teams, like find someone else for them, go over on this field and do it. Like it was kind of. I told somebody you ratchet up like that's a tryout. You're looking around like, am I better than these guys? Am I worse? Like okay, and then finally Ohio State ended up being my first offer. Going into my junior year, and I'll never forget Wild Bill Connolly. He grabbed me like after the 7-on-7 stuff the one night, puts his arm around me. He's like, Bobby, come here. And like we're walking along the indoor away from the locker room, walking towards Lane Avenue, walking towards Olentangy. And he gets to the 50 and he's like talking about this and how's your dad? How's this? I mean, probably had done some research at that point.
He's good.
Yeah, and he turns and looks and like looks around at everything. He's like, look at all these guys. Like what's it going to take to make you a Buckeye? To make you a Buckeye?
What's it going to take to get you in a Buckeye uniform today?
I was like, man, this literally is almost like a parody. This is something you do see in the movies. What's it going to take to make you a Buckeye? I'm like Wayne Newton right here selling me on this thing.
That's great.
And I'll never forget that. It was my first offer. I didn't know how to respond. I'm like,
thanks.
That's awesome. Can I talk to my parents? Yeah. Go home. Talk to Rob and Susie about it. Really get comfortable. Your mom went here, right? Yeah, that's right. Back in '76. I had all this information. I'm like,
a swimmer, right? Yeah,
reading off scribble it down on his hand.
I'm like, dude, you didn't even know who I was
before this camp started.
Pug did, and the other irony with that was Pug knew who I was. I got there to camp. I'd come the year before. And you used to pay a deposit. This is before the internet, dude. Like now you just pay you'd send in checks, and I don't know if my mom didn't send the check or forgot to, but I'd pay like the initial deposit, and I go up there like, dude, you still owe like $150. I'm like, I don't have any money on me.
Yeah, I didn't come up here with cash.
I'm 16 years old.
I have $20 for the commissary at night. Like, I can give you that. And they're like, no. And Pug's like, you're good, dude. Like, we'll figure it out later. And like, they just pushed it through, which probably looking back, I don't know if we ever paid that $150. But
statute of limitations has expired, but now we know. Oh boy,
that's how they got Bob.
So I had to come here, or they said they're going to tell me I'd be ineligible.
And then Bob asked, well, what will this do for my brand?
Exactly. How are you going to? So we've got this. There's a thing called an app. And one day it'll be on a phone. I'm like, you mean to my wall?
You'll carry in your pocket. It's going to be stronger than a computer.
Why be flying in a car at this point too? I mean,
almost
connect with the world.
Yeah.
Bob dropped in there like how they've become more of a tryout. So for anyone who doesn't know what these 5 camps might be like this month, what does Ohio State want to get accomplished?
Is there a limit of kids that can be at these camps?
They have a number. I don't know what it is this year. Okay. In past years, I mean, there's been 500, 600 kids at a one-day camp. I'm sure that's limited. They said that they were going to be able to have pods of 25 kids.
I thought it was 10. They upped it to 25.
Pantone said last week it was 25.
The university will be really opening it up.
By tomorrow it'll be 50.
Somebody must have told them that tomorrow was June 2nd.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what are you guys doing? We're free now.
Yeah.
But basically, these sort of events, I mean, they open them up for open registration because they want everyone to be able to attend. But they also have a handful of kids that they know are coming, and those kids will be pulled out and work with the individual coaches and
they get scholarships, like
work
Bob
in
did.
Smaller groups, and to really get an opportunity to work with. Larry Johnson, for example, Christian Miller, defensive end from Georgia, defensive tackle from Georgia is coming up tomorrow. He's making an official visit at the end of the month, but you can't work out on your official visits, and so he's coming up just to work out with Larry Johnson tomorrow to get an opportunity to see how he coaches.
Tell Bob this amazing rule, because I want to, if he hasn't heard it, just the NCAA bureaucracy.
So for the class of 2022, for the kids who have not had any opportunity to work out or be evaluated in the last year and a half, they are allowed to come up on their own dime and work out for an hour with the coach individually, not in a group setting, not with multiple players,
not part of a camp,
part of a camp. So Christian Miller tomorrow will do that. But then when he's on his official visit in 3 weeks, he's not allowed to work out.
Of course. I mean, why would you want – because then he would –
You want to make him spend his own money to get here to work out with him.
I think this is part of the economic recovery plan. We need as much money being poured in.
Twice?
We're going to make them pay. Like that's one of the things
There's a kid coming up from Atlanta.
Yeah.
It's like we got to pay for him in 3 weeks, so make him pay now.
I've never understood.
Like why I don't understand why they shouldn't be able to do that on an official, because the school is –
Well, they weren't allowed to pay for your parents' flights at first.
Yeah, that's just
you just took one. Like my dad went to North Carolina with me. Like, all right, we can pay for yours, but not your dad's. I'm like,
That's
is that real? And they're like, what do parents do? Like, I'm like, we didn't have a ton, but I'm like, gosh, there's got to be people that's financially tough.
Fortunately, you were driving here.
Yeah. Well, the best part is they would be able to give you per diem to drive.
Right.
And so I drove to Michigan State. I drove here. I tried to talk my parents into driving. Maybe I did drive to Northwestern too. I'm like, I went on MapQuest on the computer.
printed them out.
And I got the mileage of like $180.
Google Maps.
It was like how many 100 miles. I'm like, perfect. I get like 60 cents or whatever the heck.
That's how Bob was getting paid before he got.
Man.
Yeah, I like
Michigan State tried to give it to my parents. Like, this is for them. Like, give me that. Like, I worked hard for this. I'm getting this. My parents, forget it. They're paying for the gas anyway. I'm taking this gas.
What was 17-year-old Bob Carpenter driving to East Lansing from?
Oh, dude, I had a blue Ford Taurus. I had it my freshman year, too. It was my mom's old car. It was awesome.
Yeah.
It actually got good mileage that you
No, it wasn't bad.
But then
the old Ford Taurus was hot back.
Had the bench seat, dude. You could fit a lot of people in there. I mean, it was pretty fantastic.
That seat
sounds like you did have more than $20 in commissary in your wallet when you headed down to.
No, this was all the visit stuff was all afterwards, man. I wish I would have known.
We are really unpeeling the onion.
I would have taken another visit.
I didn't realize you got so much money before you went to college, Bob.
I say so much. It was like $70.
5-star over here.
It's like, this will be great. I can use to buy my girlfriend a Christmas present. That's 100% what was going through my head. I'm like, no, I don't have to worry about trying to figure out how I'm going to scrape up like $50 to buy a Christmas present for my girlfriend. Right there. Here we go.
These are the stories that you can't get anywhere else. We're going to take a quick break. Berm's going to eat some more fried mushrooms on Appetizer Tuesday. We'll be right back with more Lettermen Live. It's brought to you by Roosters.
Roosters is one of the unique companies that we deal with. They're involved in everything we do, from our personal foundation to also the Cancer Research Fund. And that's from the Buckeye Cruise from Cancer to all the events leading up to the Buckeye Cruise.
They donate back to different organizations that are near and dear to their heart. And we're so fortunate to have been with Roosters now for a long, long time.
All the folks at Roosters are just genuinely kind folks, and they want to make a difference.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
All right, welcome back into Lettermen Live. It's brought to you by Roosters. Come in for Appetizer Tuesday. It's fried mushrooms. Don't miss it. Bob's working up a jingle for it as we speak.
Oh, yeah. I mean, all you got to do is just put the Alice in Chains Roosters on. I mean, that's it.
Did you ever imagine that would just like be passed along to you from?
I didn't, and I like just absorbed all of Schleg's responsibility in life when he left. He like just literally was like up and vanished like a fart in the wind. Andy Dufresne just poof gone. David Copperfield.
David Copperfield.
I told Shark, I was like, hey, record a lot of Schleg's craziness today. I'm like, I'm pretty sure this is his last show. And it was on Friday. And then, hey, Monday, they're like, hey, Schleg's is going to be gone. He's going to.
I'm pretty sure.
like a 2-week.
I'm pretty sure. I mean, we've been talking about this. And
Yeah, we know he's out here.
I think he has a flight down to Florida afterwards.
He's on that private jet with the cons. Urban made quite the little appearance over the weekend. I don't know if you
The
guys
biggest fail was the fact that Schlegel was not in that, by
How
the
could
way.
Yes, how did that happen?
How do you have a wrestling promo with Urban and Charlie Strong and not have
Schlegel coming off of
do the
table or something? I mean,
surely the
yeah.
cons have like seen Schleg's work by now, and like they're the ones that own AEW. They own the Jaguars, so they've got Urban to do a number of things. For the pay-per-view on Sunday. That
Urban's probably agreed to do some things he never thought he'd do
and
before.
he's been talking
all wrapped
about,
up into that big salary.
saying he's the more you can do is what he's been saying.
Hey, that's right. It's like Bill Parcells. Hey,
So-
how many plays can you give me? It's perfect.
But they're missing such a huge opportunity because now they've got Schleg's under contract, and he will do anything.
He would.
He could become.
They should have fired
wrestler.
that video of him, which, by the way, I just saw the Washington Wizards dude who took down the guy. That's the
weak.
closest thing. Well, it's the closest thing I've seen to Schleg's.
well, fair.
I mean, most of those guys struggle around. They can't even catch them. So they could fire that video of Schleg's and then him, boom, caffeinate and dominate. Woo! Just come running out like Macho Man. Pearl snap, cutoffs, jeans, tearaway jeans with some sort of denim, like Daisy Dukes underneath with his cheeks hanging out, cowboy hat, and his work Carhartts and his work boot. Like, it'll be amazing.
Instead of beer like Stone Cold, it'd be Jaguar juice.
Yeah,
It'd
Jaguar
be,
juice.
Schleg's.
we've really gone there.
It would, I don't know. Believe me, if I was him, like, dude, we'll give you
Schleg's
some
would be
more
perfect.
cash.
Yeah.
You can be our promo.
Yeah, we want you in
Firm,
this.
this is Letterman
He's
Live.
an-
We ooze everywhere.
He's an NFL strength coach. He only works 2 days a week. Be a wrestler 5 other days a week.
I think Urban kind of told him that. Like, I mean, dude, you work like 7 months a year. Like, I mean, you got time, right?
Plenty of time to become
Hey,
a professional
for them,
wrestler.
They had all 90 dudes at their OTAs down there. So I know Schleg's was super pumped. They had
good for them.
great participation. And that's big, man. And they're going and getting after it.
I've always been a Jaguars fan.
I really never thought that I would see Urban Meyer on a pro wrestling pay-per-view before Schleg's.
Exactly. If anyone had that prop bet, they would cash that ticket and won $1 bazillion.
I mean, and you've got like you could have been on it. AJ Hawk, he's actually already
They just been on one.
did it NXT. But Schleg's, I mean, you guys, Laurinaitis, obviously, but no, Urban's just jumping right up there. Him and Charlie Strong. That was the weird part. Like, just happened to have 2 footballs sitting right here. Go ahead and fire this.
I don't think Charlie Strong has done much acting in his life. I don't know if
Charlie Strong looks the part. I don't know if he's got the mentality to be able to be the pro wrestler. That's the thing. Schleg's combines them.
Yes, he does.
Maybe the
Great
problem
combination.
is Schleg's would have taken
Taken
too much
over?
of the spotlight.
Yeah,
Chris Jericho's over there trying to,
He's a wild card. Maybe he body slams one of the wrestlers. They're like, whoa, this wasn't in the script.
Yeah, cool.
I mean, I don't think they have scripts, but
it is definitely unscripted and real
for sure.
Real
Yeah.
sports.
I didn't mean
Sprott.
to say that.
that's a different audience now that's going to be hopping into Jay-Z's
Ah,
next week
boy.
when the pro wrestling audience gets in the mix.
When
then.
did you stop watching pro wrestling?
I never really watched it a lot to begin with. I mean, I would tepidly kind of see it a little bit sporadically growing up. And one of my friends got like a SummerSlam, one of those things. We went and watched that when I was probably in
Pay-per-view.
7th grade, pay-per-view. And that was like a big party we had. But I was never like super into it. I knew all the guys and we'd play the video games and stuff. But, I was never live or die. And once my dad's like, dude, that's fake. I'm like, come on. He's like, you hit another human being in the face with a chair. He's like,
It hurts.
He's like,
It
you're not
don't matter,
getting
yeah.
back up. He's like, look how big those guys are. I'm
Well,
like, that's a good point. And he's like,
it hurts no matter what.
well,
I'm
it does.
sure.
That's the thing. It's like it hurts all the same, even if they've been pre-cut a little bit. And those dudes get the crap beat out of them. Like,
No doubt.
that is not an industry that.
Oh.
After talking to like James's dad, I'm like, yeah, that's like playing a football game every other day, except they don't really take care of you afterwards.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no rehab.
No, they're playing like 200 games a year. I mean, they never stop.
Yeah, they don't
travel.
stop.
And,
Oh, Monday Night Raw used to be the show back in the day.
Yeah.
Like freshman year of high school. Yeah, I guess. We used to watch that all the time.
yeah, they made a lot of stops in Casper, Wyoming. So,
I'm sure.
I've never been to one live.
it's a wild.
I missed out on that when James was a freshman. I think they took they took his class down. 'Cause they came to Columbus, and we're all upperclassmen. Like, oh, that'd be awesome. And he took all of his freshmen.
He did take
I'm sure.
AJ Mark. He took the like 3 or 4 of the linebackers one time. We got to go backstage. It was pretty cool. Like I was down in Cincinnati. It was sad though seeing like Ted DiBiase as like a stagehand in the back and like a choreographer. I'm like, dude, like this is. In my mind, I mean, you're $1 million man. Dude. You're living in some mansion somewhere now. Like, yeah. I mean,
everybody's got a price, Bob.
James will tell you, most of those guys didn't make as much as you thought, and they spent way more than you ever thought they made. And so ultimately, when you're 60 years old and you're all that's
why they wrestle until they're 70 years old.
Your body looks like a deflated balloon that's been over tanned and over baked, and now you're back here like tossing guys the chairs and being the backup dude.
The Undertaker's still going strong, I think.
Oh yeah,
still fighting people.
No, he
just retired, right?
Oh, did he?
I don't know if you ever
retired quite a few times.
I don't know how this deviated and all of a sudden went to just straight wrestling.
I got it out of order. I took us off the rails to start the second segment instead of end.
Well, did you ever
when we talk about tight ends?
Did you ever see the Ultimate Warriors training show that he had?
I did not.
Oh, dude, we've got to pull this up on YouTube afterwards.
It's a perfect segue though, because Cade Stover would be the wrestler.
There we go. Okay.
Do we think that he would be the best pro wrestler on the roster?
Without question. Okay. He'd have some farm shtick. It'd be great.
Like Schlegel, basically 2.0.
Huh. I guess
Although I think Mitch Rossi, I mean, if we're staying in the tight end room, especially because Rossi's kind of nuts. So I mean, you have
be a little nuts.
You have a little bit of an advantage there, but Cade Stover is the natural choice, I think.
Well, you need a big personality. He doesn't quite maybe have that.
Does he have? That's the one thing I don't know about Cade.
He does.
No, he does.
He does. He just he's not the type of kid who wants people to know that until he does something on the football field.
Wait, he's not going to promote himself before he actually has substance
does something? Yeah, man,
Correct.
What an idea.
Has he ever met Tate Martell?
I believe he has not.
Okay.
I don't think they'd get along.
They're not. Yeah, they're not cut from the same cloth. Put Tate out there, a little high flyer, doing some luchador moves out there. Maybe he could be a pro wrestler. He's got the personality.
Could you get him out of the portal? Is WWE recruiting the portal?
Hey,
he lives in
they'll
that
take
bad
him from
boy.
anywhere.
That's perfect.
All right, so it is tight ends week, as Berm successfully segued us to with Cade Stover. Got to replace 2 NFL guys. I don't know how long Jake Houseman will stay in the NFL, but he's got his shot with the Lions. And speaking of those Jaguars, you've got Luke Farrell down there. Jeremy Ruckert comes back, and then a bunch of talented, versatile, but inexperienced guys. How much should this tight end group factor in for the Buckeyes, Bob?
I think it's going to factor in a ton, as you saw last year in the semifinal game when finally, it was amazing. Ryan, this is why I love him as a coach. Very, very smart guy. Where did Ohio State struggle against Clemson the year before? In the red zone. Couldn't get it done. They get all the way down there, couldn't do it. Who is usually never guarded in the red zone, especially when you can run the football that well and you have great receivers. And Clemson
is the tight end always open?
Well, they're open a lot.
Yeah.
They're open a lot. Tim May will tell you the tight end,
especially when they do the old fall down and they get back up. And, those are the best.
But they have athletic tight ends. Like Luke Farrell is incredibly underrated as an athlete and his ability to run. And then obviously Ruckert's a tremendous athlete. And so hey, we'll utilize those guys there. And so it's a huge weapon, especially when you're starting to break in a younger quarterback. Because Jay-Z will tell you it's the easiest pass to throw on the field because it's right down the middle and you're not driving it 45 yards to go 10 on the sideline. Like you can throw that thing 15, it's right there on an in cut, and you usually have an athletic advantage. And when you can run the ball like Ohio State can, you're going to be pulling guys up all the time. And one more thing about Houseman, I forgot that he went to the Lions. When your head coach is a former player of your position and just kind of known as a tough guy, I would say Houseman has a fairly decent shot to make that team because I know Dan
he knew
Campbell,
who he was getting when
he's going to lobby to get probably 4 tight ends there. And if you have a dude that's just tough and willing to block and bite kneecaps and all that
after
stuff,
watching his press conference, no doubt about it.
We'll take that guy. Sure you don't want to keep another wide out? No, I want that guy. We want a culture and a toughness. So he might stick around a little bit more. I wouldn't be surprised if he's at least on P squad just simply for what he brings to the locker room.
But do we think the guys we have coming up can replace it? Because when I think of those 2 guys, I think good blockers, they can be in at any time, right? I don't see Rucker being a huge blocker, right? G. Scott's not going to be a blocker. He's going to be somebody that's going to get out and get downfield as a tight end. Is Stover the big blocker? I mean, because we got to have guys we can get in there where
hit people. I mean, he wants to hit people for sure.
But to what Bobby was talking about, we got to be able to run the ball with these guys in the game. Yeah. So we need guys that can block, to set up that, all right, now we're going behind you or we're going to, run some play action.
Yeah, so, it depends on exactly how you're looking to fill it because I think what you've got on this group now is more versatility than what maybe Houseman could have provided. So you've got some other people to name there, which is, Corey Rowell, who transferred in, was a walk-on initially, I think, when he got here. Mitch Rossi, as Berm said, the wild man. You know that he's doing some of the fullback stuff. Ohio State's already put him in those positions over the last couple of years. Royer's in that same Ruckert mold, so you're going to ask the same question about how quickly he can develop as a blocker. I mean, Cade Stover, I think you could ask him to do anything on the football field, and he would go 110 miles an hour and get it done. I don't worry much about him from the physical aspect. G. Scott's interesting because I think Brian Hartline would have considered him the best blocker that he had last year, even as a true freshman. So I know it's not the same to do it on the edge as you do it at tight end, but
being willing is a big piece of it, though.
Yeah, no doubt.
There are guys who just don't really want to do it, and you even see that in the NFL.
And they're not going to ask you to necessarily take the best defensive end and block him one-on-one, you know, for a 7-step drop. You know, they're going to be out in the route, but you need to be able to give a guy a shoulder or do something to kind of help that offensive line along in the run game. And that's the big question mark for me is, how do you incorporate these guys into your offense when we're not sure that they're going to be able to get the job done, on the blocking schemes or this or that.
And if they can't, they won't be on the
They'll find out during camp. Ohio State's got a pretty good defensive line, good DNs. And so as they kind of ooze Stover into the tight end room, like I think he will end up being their, kind of blocking
tight end, and you'll put Ruckert behind him.
You'll move Ruck, and then Kate can go catch balls too, and I think he'll be the possession, tight end receiver as well. But they've got G. Scott. They can have a lot of different looks.
Kate might be the guy you post in the middle,
yes,
right in front of the quarterback, and then you kind of have other guys, read off of that. So it'll just be interesting to see how they use these guys and who steps up. And missing spring last year was huge, for younger guys getting that experience. But this summer and going into camp, like Bob said, our defensive line is going to test them.
The tight end room this year is much more athletic than it's been in the last couple of years. I mean, not Luke Farrell, as Bob said, is one of the most underrated players on the team, and I think you're going to miss him a lot. But when you replace Farrell and Houseman with Cade Stover, with G. Scott, with Sam Hart, with Joe Royer, you have a lot more athleticism at the position, but you do lose some beef. And so I wonder if you'll see Ohio State maybe look, because
where's the beef?
Houseman really only saw the field in that inside the five, type. Maybe you go unbalanced with the line. You have a ton of offensive linemen. Maybe you bring someone else and just run a sixth offensive lineman out there in that spot, because that's what Houseman was essentially anyway, was a glorified extra tackle. So I think that there's just a lot of different ways to play it, but for young quarterbacks especially, as again Bob said, like that's going to be a safety valve for C.J. Stroud, for Kyle McCord, for Jack Miller all year long. So Jeremy Ruckert should have a monster year.
You think? I mean,
he really should. I know it's Ohio State. I know it's Ohio State.
This is our conversation every offseason. And I just don't think that the numbers are going to change that much, because you're still going down the list.
Yeah, you still got a lot of other players.
Man. Most uncovered guy on the field. I mean,
it's from perspective's sake, right? 35 catches is a monster year for an Ohio State tight end. So I think you're looking at him being that guy that could be the third option for Ohio State outside of Olave and Wilson.
I think Jackson Smith and Jigba would have something to say about
that.
Snap. I think a lot of guys.
You also have to factor in, the running backs. That's always the conversation that we have.
So
not the first time
talent.
Herm's heard me say or write this. It won't be the last time.
Austin hates tight ends.
I think the tight ends are great. I think they're
better than a loose end.
Wonderful. That's a great point. Wonderful weapons in the red zone. But if you're asking them to build this most explosive offense in the country, you don't do that based around throwing it to the tight end. When you have those,
tell that to Kyle Pitts, buddy.
I mean, does he want to have that conversation with me? I didn't know that he was interested.
Maybe he's going to need something to do in Atlanta when Julio gets.
But he wasn't really playing tight end.
Yeah, he was just a big wideout.
I would say this though: if you look at the offenses in the NFL, the best passing offenses you're going to find, obviously they have good quarterbacks, but a lot of those also have elite tight ends.
They all use the tight end better than anybody else.
Well, yeah, if you look at Travis Kelce, what he's doing and what he does at Kansas City, you look out at San Francisco and what
Kittle,
Tom Brady's
Kittle's doing. They've always found a way. Tom loves him in Tampa. I mean, they find a way to use it, and that's the one thing with Ryan, his NFL background. I feel like he's kind of evolving this offense as he goes, and he's a guy who in the NFL a lot of times you have to figure out what do I have and then build kind of our play structure. This is kind of what we do, but hey, if we've got a really elite guy at this position, how do we get them involved? So I would imagine with Jeremy Ruckert and what he's able to provide, that they'll try to start pushing him more up the middle of the field and utilize some of that ability.
And I know coaches don't like to play the promise game, and nobody wants to say, oh, well, Jeremy Ruckert came back because he was promised a bigger role in the offense. But I would imagine there was some conversation about, hey, Jeremy, you're going to be a central part of this offense, and that's why we need you to come back. Certainly, that could be said, and then he doesn't get the football because they needed him to come back. But I think you will see an effort to at least make that a priority.
But that's also, a question of how much what that role needs to look like, because I think Kevin Wilson was talking about Farrell and Ruckert playing more snaps, 700 plus snaps than anybody other than the offensive lineman on the team last year. Like, they built around their tight ends. They just don't throw it to him that much. So he can't be on the field more. He's already one of the most important people on the roster.
And if you're going to start talking about sending him down the middle of the field, you got a guy who just moved over to tight end, G. Scott, who's going to be faster and probably a little bit more athletic to go up and make plays. So are you moving him out to try and get some more depth there? It's going to be tough. I was talking to buddies today. It's just, I thought we were doing running backs. So I'm like, who's going to be our guy? And it's just like, you name off all these different guys. It's like, golly, like there's so many athletes on this team. It's so hard to pick and choose. And being a coach, it's a great problem to have, but
Where would
it's a problem, though, because how do you get all these guys?
Where would Ben Hartsock fall athletically amongst this group, Bob, as someone who's seen them in person?
Ben's a better athlete than people think. Like, he just didn't have great top end speed.
Yeah.
As far as a route runner, really good. He was obviously a tremendous blocker, but he had really good hands. We just never threw him the ball. Like, we didn't really. Like, Justin was he knows, like, our tight end route tree was consistent of like a 5-yard stick, a shallow, and then the home route.
Home route. You had your shallow, and that's basically what they ran for the most part.
Like a glorified check down and then like a shallow crosser.
That's all. You're going to go shallow, you're going to go dig, whatever happens.
So I think Hartsock athletically, probably around, like not great top end, but good 10, 15 yards could go.
For a big guy.
For a big dude, like I would say, obviously not as athletic as Rucker or Scott, but he's probably with Stover right there. I mean, he could move well.
And he was a guy that could be on the field the entire game too, because I mean, he was big body, he could block. He was in on.
He had the catch at
most of those
at
runs.
Purdue, right? The one that before Jenkins had the game.
Yeah, he had a big one over the middle, I think. It got us to 4th and 2. It was like
then
third.
It was Wash Shallow.
It was like third and 11 or something.
Wash Shallow go.
It was like third and
4th and 2.
The 4th and 2 was supposed to go to him.
Go to him to get
on
the
the
first
wide
down.
shallow.
Yeah.
Back to our route tree again.
One of three options.
One of the 3.
Exactly.
Could he have been a professional wrestler, though? I guess that's a
Definitely.
for another day.
Maybe.
He had the personality.
He had the charisma.
He was a little crazy, yeah.
I don't know if he could have ever been one of the pro wrestling villains. He would have had to be a nice guy.
Dude, yeah.
He's
awesome.
He's white hat, not black hat all day.
Faces and heels, Bob. Get the lingo right.
Faces and heels.
Now we've gone back off the rails. It's been a great to get back in here. A true Appetizer Tuesday. Come to Roosters every week for $2 appetizers. Recruiting is heating up. Berm's going to have plenty of coverage coming. Basically every day this month. This is what he's been waiting for.
Yeah.
That interminable.
I saw coaches aren't going to sleep much this month. Neither are you.
Yeah, I mean, I had a whole lot of days off.
The last 16 months, Berm hadn't been doing crap. Time to go out and get it.
First day out.
He's been begging for it, so now it all comes right at once. I think that's the way Pantoni described it. It was like 22 months of recruiting boiled down into one.
Well, a lot of times it kind of he oozes into it more of a medium pace. This is more like just an explosion in his face, like a fire hydrant right there.
And that's a good way to end it. It's been Lettermen Live. It's brought to you by Roosters. That's Berm, Justin Zwick, Bobby Carpenter. I'm Austin Ward. Some of us will be here next week. Some of us won't, but the show will continue. Lettermen Live. It's brought to you by Roosters. Stay with us for full coverage of the Ohio State Buckeyes at LettermenRow.com.